Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am the sentient remains of the coronavirus inhabiting Tripp, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who mercifully did not rent sex workers, a donkey, or a ludicrously expensive hotel room for my bachelor party, the Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Leno. Yeah, I guess the hotel room would be the only really thing that I would, unless we went to a petting zoo.
Yeah, a petting zoo would have been fine. That is the appropriate way to engage with a donkey. So we missed an episode, thanks to COVID.
Yes, COVID brain.
You had COVID and we didn't miss an episode due to scheduling luck. So
yeah, well, it's because I got COVID at Christmas where we had already banked stuff.
Yes. And I got COVID when we had not banked anything, and then it was going to try to be a late record, and then we just couldn't do it. So I'm fine. You're fine. And now we're here recording Bachelor Party because I'm getting married shortly. We did do my Bachelor Party already, and thankfully you did not watch this movie first to get any great ideas.
God, no.
I will. Okay. Let's get into it, and then I have a question for you right up the top. So, we, of course, watched Bachelor Party, so you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your donkey show. Something about your donkey show.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott!
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
So, scale of 1 to 10, how afraid of this movie being just like brutally, incomprehensibly bad to watch were you fearing it to be?
I was very scared because I had hope that like Tom Hanks, because this was post Splash Tom Hanks, right?
I think this is 84 and Splash is 86, but I that could be incorrect.
Okay. I was thinking it was like on an upswing Tom Hanks, so I was like, he's not gonna sign up for like terrible stuff at this point. Like he's on an upswing. I didn't think it was gonna be great. I enjoyed parts of it much more than I expected to. I will say that. There's
3 legitimate laughs I got out of this movie, which shocked me. I had seen this a long time ago.
Oh, really?
And this was a Comedy Central movie for sure in the time period where I was watching a lot of Comedy Central. This was definitely one of those, and one of the ones that they would probably slap on late at night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely had seen it in that way, but I feel like I thought this movie was a lot. I don't know if I want to use the word raunchy here.
Bluer?
I don't mean it to be like. I just thought there was a lot more nudity in it, you know? Like I was expecting a lot more naked women in this, and it's like a tasteful amount of topless women.
Yeah, it's a slightly above average count of topless women for an 80s movie.
Yeah, because I mean, this is a sex comedy, which is really a genre that died in 1999 or thereabouts.
Yeah,
with American Pie, more or less. Now they make them like direct to DVD, I guess. But
and they slap the National Lampoon logo on them for some reason.
A lot of them get the National Lampoon logo. Yeah.
So is that a company? Is National Lampoon like a legit company, or is that just like a phrase?
I don't know of the current state of National Lampoon, but National Lampoon was a humor magazine that became like enormously popular. There's actually a very, very good documentary about it, and the
was it like the same time like Mad Magazine was a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe the National Lampoon, if I'm remembering this right, is a while since I watched the documentary or the Will Forte fictionalized version, but I'm 99% sure this is right. It was the Harvard Lampoon. And guys who were on the staff of the Harvard Lampoon, which is where SNL like got a lot of their people.
Okay.
The Harvard Lampoon begat the National Lampoon, which is those guys
gotcha.
graduating and being like, "Hey, we want to keep doing what we were doing. What can we do? Oh, let's form a thing." So like National Lampoon very heavily was involved with making Animal House.
Well, that one has their label on. Like that's National Lampoon's Animal House.
Right. And so my hunch is that like sometime in the 80s, the Lampoon like the magazine dies, one of the original founders dies, and that thing becomes just like a name owned by some giant corporation that now slaps it on top of boxes of, random raunchy sex comedies that star child actors from the 90s.
Yeah, whatever body thing they can buy.
Mostly women without heads. It's like butts, legs, breasts.
Yeah, and
never
it's
a face.
which if you're looking at the scale, those are giant women. Because it's always the dude is in full view, and then it's just like headless. It's like the cover of Gossip Girl, and then you stuck like Sean William Scott in the middle.
The dude is making a face like, what?
Or like, yeah, with, like, I'm pretty cool.
Or naked and covering his penis sometimes.
Yeah.
Like what? You caught me naked. And then.
So yeah, you're either the lead guy in American Pie or you are Sean William Scott in American Pie.
But it's not like, I can't believe.
I mean, facially, those are what they're giving.
Okay. But I can't believe this is a sentence I'm going to say and mean, but there is like some nuance to Stifler.
Is that Sean William Scott?
Like it's not. Yes, it is not. Now, let me be very clear. This is not a deeply nuanced character, but there is some
There's a couple shades on there.
Yes, it is not just, a crayon. And I feel like the characters these movies are just like a box of crayons, like no depth, no nuance, just like here's the thing that you are. While we're on the Tangent Town, by the way, that should be our spinoff podcast, just The Tangent. And it's just an hour-long monthly Patreon update where it's just we take this stuff and that's the whole episode, and there's no guiding force. Anyway, through the course of researching this movie, I was looking up Adrian Zebed, who's the best friend character.
Yeah, he was in Grease too.
The one. Yes, and I found Grease too, but I was like, there's got to be something else I know this guy from, because he has like a familiar energy from.
I thought the same thing.
And I really didn't notice much that I saw him from. However, he is in a movie called Spring Break 83, which is listed without a year on IMDb. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I click on it, and the cast is like, it's him, it's Lee Majors from The $6 Million Man, it's Jesus Christ. Dan Connor from Roseanne is played by John Goodman. Sorry, COVID brain still. John Goodman's in this movie. And then, did I recommend to you Reacher on Amazon Prime?
You might have. I have not watched it yet.
Okay. So the lead guy from that, I'm looking on the things, and then I'm like, this isn't as a trailer from 2010. And I watched the trailer, and it's definitely the movie that is listed as not out yet. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those, it happens every once in a while, but just like, some falling out happens during production or after production, and the movie just never exists, which is less prevalent now with all the streaming services.
Yeah.
But this apparently was filmed in 2008 or 2009 and just has never.
Oh, so it's like it's like Trick or Treat, kind of.
Yeah, except bad, I think.
Well,
like I watched the trailer for it and I was like, this is a piece of shit, as opposed to like, why won't someone get it together and release this movie? You know what I mean? But yes, anyway, so I ended up rabbit holing that whole thing of like, there's a fairly decent number of modern-ish movies with people that you've heard of in them that just will never be released or seen by anybody outside of their like one festival showing 15 years ago.
Yeah, or like it's like scrolling through the free horror movie section on like your on demand.
Yeah.
You're like, because I was like, PJ Souls was in a Hanukkah themed murder movie.
Oof.
And I was like, this is gotta be, I have to see this. So I watched the trailer, and it's like, looks like it was filmed on like an iPhone 4. And immediately it's PJ Souls. I was like, they know how they're drawing people in.
Yeah.
And her first line is something akin to, it's totally been forever. And I was like, I get that, like, totally. She said totally about Halloween, but like, Jesus Christ, that's the trailer. That's what you're putting in your trailer.
I would imagine that you saw all of her scenes in the movie in said trailer.
No, I think she's. I don't think she like.
She's like.
I think she's like in it. She's like the hostess.
Wow. Okay. I thought this was like the geezer feature thing they do, where like, they pay some old guy like, $100,000 and never get out of a chair.
Yeah, no, she should be so lucky. But I think she actually had to do stuff, it seems.
I was gonna say get her back in one of those Halloween movies, but that would be impractical.
Yeah, she did die.
She did die. Unlike Lindsay.
That woman has... Andy Cohen is a hell of a negotiator, is what I'll say.
She is honestly like, and I don't like, she has the staying power, like the relevancy of staying power of like a cockroach in a nuclear apocalypse, where she's just like any little thing she can cling to stay famous. She's
as an actress.
Like, you can't.
So that's the thing. She like gave up acting.
Well, she's on that real.
She gave up acting a while ago. Like she's not done things. She just does Real Housewives stuff, which like is its own thing. That's
what I was referring to.
That's why when they were like, she's coming back, I was like, really? That's weird. Because like she doesn't even talk about it. I haven't watched Housewives in 100 years, but like the couple seasons I watched, there was like, it opened with like, yeah, my sister and I were child actors. She did it more than I did. And it was sort of like, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that feels like the appropriate amount to do it. Like you got lucky and you were in an iconic movie, but it's not as if anybody was like, you know who's great in Halloween? Lindsay the Child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You did a good job. You were fine. You didn't bring anything down.
You won the lottery. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is sort of, my thought. Anyway, I forget why we got, I don't even know how.
Zamood.
Wow. Adrian Zamed. Yeah, that was it. But I was distracted by the National Lampoon because this is not a National Lampoon movie, but it would be of the type of a National Lampoon. There is also a Bachelor Party 2 directed DVD sequel.
It was supposed to apparently be a remake.
It looks like it is based on the trailer, and oh boy,
what year?
Long 2006, 2008. Yeah,
that's a bleak spot for movies.
It looks like they rented the sets from Everybody Loves Raymond and or the one with Patton Oswalt and Kevin James.
Oh, King of Queens.
He's a UPS
Patton Oswalt,
King of Queens. Yeah. There's actually one scene you can find online that he just doesn't move for the whole scene. He stands completely frozen. It's like a house party scene.
Patton Oswalt?
And Patton, like without anyone noticing it, just stands completely still, frozen in place in front of a bowl of chips for the entire.
Was he like doing a bit for himself?
Yes. And he stands completely frozen, like unmoving, whatever. And he's only in the deep background, so it's not something you notice until he pointed it out years later, like, oh, I did this and forgot about it, because someone was like, hey, I was watching this rerun, and Patton just stands there. Like, he just stands. It's like a whole scene happens, like, we get a cutaway to, like, Kevin James and whatever.
Scientology lady?
Yeah.
Leah Remini.
Thanks you. I was like, it's an L. There's like a cutaway to them in the kitchen, and on that show they had like a little window from the kitchen to the living room.
Sure.
You see over the shoulder, and Patton is still standing frozen. Like he must have stood frozen for 6 hours of filming.
I'm gonna have to look up this clip.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks like they rented the sets from that show. It's just like a very generic house setting, nothing interesting, and then just like the Z-listest version of every character that's in this movie being like, you're getting married? Kind of energy.
Honestly, I'm surprised Sean William Scott didn't get wrangled into that one.
I think Sean William Scott at 2006 was like still not the height of his power, but still juice.
Yeah,
I feel like he's doing the rundown with The Rock in 2004, maybe.
Is he one of those that like had a dramatic role that was really good and then kind of stopped doing anything?
I don't think there's like a great dramatic turn from him, but he was in Goon, which is a very, very good movie, and he's excellent in it. And so it's like a comedy, but he does a lot of carrying weight in it.
Okay.
It's a hockey movie, so that's why I saw
Gotcha.
it. But he's genuinely great in that movie. Like, this is not grading on a curve. Like, the performance is excellent. I always thought he had the juice to do the dramatic stuff like you're talking about, but he's such a goofy looking person, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, in my head it was like not that he like pulled a Tatum and was like, I'm doing a dramatic thing.
Yeah,
I'm shifting.
Yeah.
I'm doing Foxcatcher.
Yeah. I don't know if he has like the chops for a fox catcher, but I think he's got more charisma than anyway. Underrated, I would say.
Sure.
Goon is definitely worth your time. Let's talk about Bachelor Party, because it is 15 minutes into this podcast and we have yet to do that. So we start off. It's still peak goofy boyish Hanks.
It is. It's a good Hanks.
Energy. Yeah. And every time I see this, I'm like, boy, do I miss this. I wish he would make something like throwback. Like,
well, I just like, I would, you know, sign the deal with the devil to get the Tom Hanks career trajectory of like,
sure. Yeah.
a lot of solid things that like genre wise span, and then you kind of have a natural shift and pivot in your career. And then, but like generally pretty well respected since Splash, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he does so much physical stuff in this movie that I was like, oh right, you should do the fun, the really like wacky fun stuff, and then you got like sort of fun, and then you were serious, and then you did both, and now you're old man. Now you're Geppetto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Boy, that looks like such a piece of shit.
I watched the trailer because I was like, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The trailer. I thought it honestly looked like an SNL sketch to me.
You thought?
Like the quality of the wigs and the
see.
The
I thought that
it.
he looked fine. I was like, he's good. I like the casting of Cynthia Erivo, but like enough with all the CG.
Yeah, everything about that looks like complete shit to me. But I'm an old man, I guess. But I was like, he looks like he's doing a Funny or Die sketch where it's like Tom Hanks is Geppetto, and then it's like the joke is like, oh, what have you done to my Pinocchio? I get to my revenge. And he flips open a case and it's like 400 guns and it's Tom Hanks.
I didn't quite get that, but I did.
It's
because I thought he looked. I was like, oh, that's not. I like what he's doing. He's a good fit for Geppetto in this era of his career.
Yeah. I mean, I like Tom Hanks. I enjoy what he does. There's a really great interview with him I just read on, I think it was the New York Times weekend magazine thing, but he kind of does like A to Z for his whole career and is really fascinating. Talks about like his approach to the craft and really good interview if you like Tom Hanks. But the whole time I was just like, man, like, and he's also like, it's the same thing we talk about all the time. It's just like, I just don't have a lot of interest in certain things, and he keeps doing things like that. Like he did a sci-fi movie for Apple I thought was quite good. And
where he had like a robot dog or something.
It's he's not a dog, but same principle as it. There is a real dog and there's also a robot.
Okay, that's probably what my brain was doing.
But it's super sweet. It's like very Castaway energy. It's a very sweet movie, very nice. It's great performance as you'd expect. But then he's playing Colonel Tom Parker in Elvis, and I'm just like, one, Colonel Tom Parker is evil, and I don't think I want to see Tom Hanks do this type of evil. And two, like, I just, who gives a shit about it?
I have no interest. I'm like, Baz Luhrmann.
Right. Like, who gives a shit? It's 2022. My fiance's mother is like a little bit older than our parents, and I put on an Elvis Christmas one time I was down there at the holidays thinking like, oh, this will be a slam dunk, and she's like, who likes Elvis? Like, he's before my time. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it now. Like, nobody cares.
I think if you're gonna throw on an Elvis Christmas in your mix, that's fine.
No, I'm not.
He's kind of the pretzel of the Chex Hardy mix, but
yeah, I this is not to say that I don't think an Elvis Christmas song isn't nice. Like, he has a very nice syrupy voice. I like listening to it the same way I like listening to Michael Bublé. Like, that's fine. I'm just saying, who gives a shit about an Elvis biopic, especially one that looks like exactly paint by numbers, walk hard, Dewey Cox.
Well, no, here's the thing. Baz Luhrmann makes beautiful movies that are pretty empty. Like, that's just what he does.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of that.
Describes Elvis. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, is this gonna get to the sad Elvis like pooping himself to death? I doubt it.
Is Elvira going to be in the movie?
Yeah, exactly. Like, most of these things. The only way I'm in is if they have him eat his insane sandwich, and I want to see the actor do it.
It's peanut butter, banana, bacon.
No, well, so there. Yes, but the version of it that is like the famous one, they talk about in this movie What If, which I don't think is a great movie, but one that I have like an irrational love for. It's Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan, I think it is. But they like fall for each other, and the one thing that they like talk about is this sandwich, which was made by a place in Colorado, and it's an entire loaf of French bread.
Oh, I have heard. It's peanut butter and jelly, right?
It's peanut butter, jelly, and bacon. It's an entire loaf of French bread that you then smother in butter and rebake, and then split it open. One whole jar of jelly, one whole jar of peanut butter, and an entire pound of bacon, and that is the sandwich.
And then you like, do you press it or no?
You squish it down. Yeah. And they sell like a slice of it, but you can order a whole one. And allegedly, Elvis and his friends were so enamored with this sandwich that one night they hopped on his jet, flew to Denver, sent a person to go pick these sandwiches up, ate them on the tarmac, and then flew home. Like never left the plane, never
God,
went.
Can you imagine that life?
They basically postmated this thing. So anyway, I just found that like delightfully ridiculous. So, but like, unless we're gonna see this actor whose name I do not know, sit there and eat that whole sandwich in one take, like Paul Newman with the 50 eggs, I don't have any interest in the movie. But I want no faking, no bullshit. I want to watch him eat the whole sandwich. Anyway, I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but Tom Hanks is a bus driver.
We were talking about Tom Hanks' career, and I said I would. He had a great like. His trajectory it's a nice smooth curve.
Yes, yeah, and again, like he still makes good stuff. He still does good work. There's no
like the only bad thing I can think of that he did is Polar Express, and like there are a swath of people who like highly regard that movie.
Yes. He was also in it's not Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, it's yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's
Mercury Rising or something.
Atlas? No.
Yes. Cloud Atlas.
Cloud Atlas. That's what it is. And he actually, it's funny, he mentioned that movie specifically, and he was like, people did not get that movie and still don't get that movie. I stand behind it. I think it's great. So I've never seen it.
Blackface in that movie or something? There's something weird in that movie that I heard and being like, that is surprisingly late for that.
It's the Wachowskis. So
is it?
Like super weird. Yeah. I'm not sure if the blackface thing is accurate or not. I do think he plays like a sort of multiverse type thing.
Yeah.
So it's possible like one version of is him and he's black, which obviously is a weird choice. But
I think there's like yellow face. There's some kind of inappropriate white person acting.
Yeah, and it's Tom Hanks. So everyone's like, well. But anyway, I would give all of my box office dollars to see him do like a real manic, The Burbs, like physical acting, spazzy performance again.
This is not shade. I don't know that his body has it in him at this point. Like he's an old man.
Yeah, I know he's 70 something years old. But I think I want to see him do The Burbs, but play the Bruce Dern part, or
the evil leprechaun from Luck of the Irish / Nazi in Blues Brothers role.
The part of the movie. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know that actor's name, but you'll get this reference.
Yes. This podcast is in a different language.
I feel like the audience got that one. I gave 2 solid references for this performer.
We are 62 miles from the train tracks, and we haven't. The train literally like it turned on and then off, so it just rolled like the whole the.
You've heard of runaway train. You've heard of gently coasting.
Yes.
Now here, gently coasting train.
Yeah, the train was like, and then just like rolled slow. So like it is. Because it's on a slight downgrade, it has moved somewhat out of the station, but that is it. So we got full spastic Tom Hanks. He's driving a bus. He picks up a bunch of kids.
He's dressed like a modern day queerdo.
Yeah, it is an odd. His outfits this whole movie are pretty like something you would wear, I feel.
A modern day queerdo.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what that word meant and if it was okay for me to say it, so I just said something I felt comfortable with. But he's driving a bus. He's kind of like flirting with the nun, who definitely is like sick of his shit, but also kind of finds him charming, which is a nice place.
Yeah, like she could have fired him at this point.
Absolutely. And I like, the kids it's a full on hooligan bus. There's like a kid shooting dice, which is delightful. Like how he
has a topless hula dash or dash hula.
Yeah. And I love him like, calling back to that kid, like, don't forget the house gets 10%.
Yeah, I feel like his energy in this opening moment has a similar thing that I cannot place. That I'm like, oh, there's another role that someone else did that reminds me of this, and I cannot place it.
Oh, interesting.
It's like a very playful, like everyone likes this guy.
Yeah. It's a Ferris Bueller-y energy.
Yeah, like this movie could have easily pivoted to be like all about his relationship with the kids. Like he has to help them save the rec center or something.
Yes, 100%. So we got Adrian Zmed now. We do like a rundown, basically.
We get the opening of The
everybody.
Hangover.
Yeah. I mean, The Hangover owes this movie like every single penny it's ever earned. By the way, it is 100% just this movie.
So yeah, we meet Adrian Zmed, and he's working the JCPenney portrait studio, and this, like, for mostly babies, and this woman walks up with her baby, and her blouse is undone to like a point where humans don't wear their clothes like that.
Yeah. Counterpoint. I was in a Walmart 6 months ago returning something, and a woman walked in with her blouse unbuttoned this much, and one breast was just fully not in the shirt. And I was like about to say something, and then I was like, nope, not my business. I cannot help here. I do not want to be like the part of this where it turns into, well, why are you looking at it, is just like too much to bear.
That's fair.
She looked very angry, and I was just like, can't do it. Cannot get involved. You can't save everybody.
That's fair.
And I'm not saving you.
But yeah, her blouse is super again, not like way beyond what a human wears. And then 2 seconds later, it's even further undone. And I was like, what happened?
It's as if she had a button-down shirt on and only buttoned like the 3 buttons by the waist.
Yeah.
And then stopped. Do you go top down or bottom up on a button-down shirt?
I do bottom up, so I know I don't miss a button.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I do top down for the same reason.
Well, do you see, I don't button all the way up.
Right. I just hold that one and then I go to the
Gotcha.
next
Yeah. So I just go from the bottom up because
Okay. This is like a big online debate thing I saw years ago.
There's another one about socks. Like, do you put on socks before do you put on socks
like
before
order of operations?
I think it's like socks before pants or like socks before underwear.
Socks before underwear seems like a choice. Socks before pants is not that weird to me. Like either or there seems fine.
Yeah, I mean, so is buttoning your shirt from the bottom or the top. Like they're both not weird.
If you get naked out of the shower and walk to the clothes and are like, first the socks, I'm like, really? That's an odd choice to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, she's like inexplicably so into him, and I get that he's got like a cute boyish.
I mean, I'm into him. I'll be honest.
But yeah, I mean, look, if he was spitting a little game, it's totally fine. But this woman has a child.
Well, she says that she's separated.
The first question is, you separated? And he's like, great, I'm going to try to get in your pants. And he like, at one point he like lays the kid down. He's like, you sleep. And then he gets in and is taking pictures.
And she does
like a delightfully absurd.
So like, again, this movie has weird rules that like, we don't super know. Because she's not like, in any normal world, if the photographer gets into your photos, it's like, huh? Even in comedy world, that's normally like, they'd be like, this is sort of a family photo, but she's just like, well, okay.
Yeah, she's into it. And then Tom Hanks like gets in the photo as well, and just like this disheveled man shows up, and she's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
You both can. Then we
meet the guy from Seinfeld who was in so it's the episode where Jerry is doing stand-up and is going to meet the friends to watch. No, the episode is about the stand-up. It's not the cutaways.
Okay.
It's like he's doing like 2 late night sets, and then he's going to meet his friends at the movies. And he's a really bad comedian who like gets in the cab with Jerry and is like offering him suggestions the whole time. He kind of does this like melodic talking thing.
I don't remember this episode. I remember an episode where like Jerry crashes a car into a pool because he's doing stand-up shows.
No. This is like it's a going to the movies episode. It's one of a couple of Seinfelds that are about like going to the movies, and this one is Jerry is like rushing to meet his friends, and he goes and he's at the wrong theater, and the guy is like, "Well, I'm still in the cab. Come with me. We'll check the other theater, Jerry."
Okay, this is sounding more familiar now.
He's super annoying in the episode. Like
welcome to 95% of any character in a Seinfeld episode.
This I would put among the most annoying, just like, why go away? Anyway,
he's the mechanic?
He drinks a can of motor oil. Yes, yeah. And his role in this movie seems to be scream women out loud as much as possible.
Yeah, it's not, and like, I don't know. He seems like a funny guy. I feel like you could give him more to do that's still within the realm of the character you've created. That's not just
he's
a caveman.
Right. Have you been to a bachelor party with this guy? Because I have, and
I've been to 2 bachelor parties.
Okay. Well,
yours and our other brothers.
Well, I went to one once, and there was a guy like this, and I had like tried to talk to him earlier. I was just trying to be friendly, and like very quickly.
Was it like it's like a one night thing, right? This wasn't a weekend event.
This was an overnight sitch. I think we did like got left early Saturday, did like some daytime activities, might have been like paintball, and then like went to a house we had rented and then hung out there kind of thing. And like as we're at this house we rented, people were like, oh, we're gonna go to a strip club, and I was like, all right. And then like about half the people didn't want to go, and I was like, great. Like then I don't have to go. Like I'm not gonna be the one guy, but I would love to not do this. Just have no interest. And then that plan sort of fizzled for a number of reasons, and then there was like 2 or 3 people that were like really aggressively like trolling Craigslist to try to get a woman to come over, and then like
a sex worker woman or a stripper woman.
Because
also growing up, I feel like it was always strippers at a bachelor party. I feel like there wasn't a lot of sex workers at bachelor party jokes and stories.
Yeah. So my assumption is that this person was going to come over for the purposes of stripping.
And then open to
whether or not they're open to other paid activity, I don't know, and I don't want to besmirch this person, right? Maybe they was just they thought they were renting a stripper, but they were like really, really pushing this, and there was very clearly no interest, and it was like it would come up. And
were either of these people the person getting married?
No.
Okay.
No.
Then you surrender.
Yeah, and so they brought it up. No dice. They brought up no dice. And at this point, like we're sitting around outside, we're smoking cigars. It's like a very nice summer evening. People are just shooting the shit. We're drinking. People are doing whatever, and it just like keeps coming up. And finally, it's like after 11, and I had been drinking, of course, and I was just like, nobody fucking wants to pay for a stripper, man. Like, read the room. You have tried this so many times. There is no interest here. Look around. No one wants this. And then very clearly I hurt this person's feelings, and they went inside. And I was like a fringe member of this bachelor party. I was not in the wedding party. I was not like, I was like, oh.
You were a friend of the groom, I assume, though.
Yes. But like, I was invited along as like, oh, I'm just going to have a bunch of my guy friends. And
I meant like you weren't like a friend of a friend. Like you weren't like,
no. I did
be my buddy on this.
Yeah. And I was like, I turned to my friend and I was like, did I just fuck up? And he's like, well, I'm glad you said it because I was getting annoyed. And I was like, okay, at least it's 2 to 20.
Have you seen this person since?
The ratio was. Yeah, we never mentioned it again.
Oh, I was just curious if this was like.
Have I seen the stripper person?
Yeah.
No, I was like, I'm never going to see this guy again. There's like no world in which I ever see this person again. I can't deal with this anymore. Shut up. You're ruining the night.
And he now manages a strip club.
Yeah, he does. It's this massive success story. And again, I don't care if other people want to go. Yeah. It's like if the vibe of the party, like if the first time it had come up, he'd have been like, hell yeah, I would not have been a weird wet blanket. Like, oh, you guys are doing something inappropriate. Like I would have not, it would have not been part of that at all. That's not what I was just like, read the room, Derek. Nobody wants this. His name was not Derek. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, no, I get you.
It could have been Derek and I just doxed the person by accident, but I do not remember. But we get all the guys together. We do this like montage. We meet everybody. We, the one friend Gary is a ticket broker.
Who's
Rudy does
a Halloween, a Spirit Halloween Frank Oz.
Oh, I thought Spirit Halloween Frank Oz was the hotel manager.
No, I thought Gary was the Spirit Halloween Frank Oz. He got the glasses and the friar tuck and the mustache.
I thought Gary was Spirit Halloween Woody Allen.
Well, I don't know Woody.
We don't have even a picture of him in your head.
Vaguely, but like he's such.
Okay.
He's just such a gross that I'm like, I don't need that point of reference.
Yeah. That's fine. Anyway, they all get together. They go to this. The one friend works at a restaurant. They go and meet up with him. They're drinking beers. Hey guys, I'm getting married. 2 things that I find very funny in well, several, but in movies, no one ever like suspects that someone's getting married. It's always a surprise to everyone. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't know if the kayfabe of movies is such that like Tom Hanks and this woman have only been dating for 30 days. You know,
Well, he says I'm getting married in less than 2 weeks, and I was like, hold the fucking phone. Like, I know the wedding industrial complex has ruined a lot of things, but was it that short in 1980 whatever?
It's like when you see the venue at the very end, I was expecting it to be much more like the country club. Like the parents owned. So it was like there's no worries about getting a date. Like they just booted somebody else's wedding for theirs or something.
Yeah. I feel like 6 months is a pretty standard like proposal to wedding.
I think that's actually on the short end. A year is the standard now.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like 6 months is a pretty normal wait length of time. So like him being like, I'm getting married in a week and a half. I was like,
Ours was 8 months, and about half the people I told when they told them the date were like fall out of the chair surprised. So I think longer is pretty normal now. But agreed. How would you not have told your friends like that you proposed whenever that happened?
Yeah.
But it's always a genuine shock to everyone involved. Often the woman being proposed to, just dead stunned shock. And two, the amount of standing weekly obligations that people have set up with their friends.
Oh my
in
God.
The movie world. He has 2 weekly events with
and a
his
jokey
friends,
third one
cards
that I was
and
like,
bowling.
is this a joke about a real thing you do?
He says that they wear each other's underwear on Sundays, which I just took as like a nonsense thing.
But I was like, I was like, is that a joke because you do hang out on Sundays or whatever?
Right.
But yeah, I was like,
right. And then
he was like, every Friday we'll do this. Every Tuesday we'll still go bowling. And I was like,
yeah.
No, Mary.
And then the other one, and this doesn't come up until much later in the movie, but he asked his brother for advice, and married dudes at movies are the most miserable fucking
They're the ones who buy those stupid fucking t-shirts.
The like, my wife sucks t-shirt. And I'm always just like, I don't know if this is like the one positive.
I lost 150 pounds. I got a divorce.
Yeah. And I guess this is like the one positive that the movie lesson that movies taught a younger generation, which was that like maybe wait and marry somebody you're sure that you like spending time with, as opposed to just like, yeah, whatever, we're in love, let's do it. Yeah. Because it just seems like every movie it's like, oh, everyone hates everyone. Every married couple is miserable and hates each other.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous to see. It's just like, oh no, the old ball and chain. Like after 2 months, you're gonna look at your phone book and imagine all the women you could be sleeping with, and it's like, hasn't it been like a long time that you were with this woman that you?
Yeah, like shouldn't you know?
Shouldn't you have been flipping through your little black book like after several months of dating, as opposed to when you've decided to make it legally permanent?
It's not a simple thing to get married, like legally or like socially. Like
there's a lot of fucking paperwork.
Yeah, and if you're changing your name, forget about it.
Yeah, I had to go to a different city and go to the courthouse and get documents, and I had to bring a lot of backup documents.
And I don't know if you still do. You used to have to get a blood test.
We did not in Maryland, but you do in some states.
Actually, you know what? No. So in Guys and Dolls, they go to
They go to Maryland.
They go to a city in Maryland that I can't remember. It was ingrained in my head because we did that show senior year, and they were going there specifically because they didn't have to get the blood test. I think.
I think there's no waiting period. You can get married immediately.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't.
It's like Vegas style, I believe, is the gimmick.
That was 12 years ago. So, yeah. Oh boy.
So he's like, I'm getting married, boys. We're having a bachelor party. Everyone gets excited about the bachelor party. We meet Tawny Katane, who became famous for doing music videos and then branched into acting. She's the bride to be.
She's got a lot of Elizabeth Shue meets Kelly, who the sexy Mary Poppins.
LeBrock.
From Weird Science.
Are you talking about Weird Science? Yeah, Kelly LeBrock.
Kelly LeBrock. She's got like a lot of.
I forgot that we turned Weird Science into Mary Poppins, and so my brain was like, "Oh, he must be Kelly LeBrock," and then it was like error 404.
File not found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
she got Elizabeth Shue meets Kelly LeBrock, like visually, I find, and like energy wise.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
If this role had more to do, I feel like they would have gotten an actress like that. No offense intended
It was Kelly McGillis from Top Gun, and then they fired her because she's not sexy enough. That's the actual quote of the IMDb trivia.
I saw that, which is like, Jesus, H.
Truly ludicrous.
The woman's in this movie for 20 minutes.
Yes, yeah.
And she doesn't even take her top off. Like,
yeah, I know. It's what? Yeah. She's also in a movie that like very likely stay tuned called Witchboard. That I
saw that. It looks fun.
Kind of a hoot. Yeah. I've seen it. I watched it this year for my horror watch, and I was like, I probably should have waited. This was a podcast episode. There's a great line from her best friend that's like, I can't believe you're getting married. It seems like only yesterday I was teaching you how to give a blowjob, and everybody in the store stops.
It's at that moment that the sound cuts out. The sound system cuts out.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of Family Guy-esque jokes. Another show that owes a lot to this movie is like the cutaway gag is very Family Guy, sort of Zucker Brothers-esque.
Because she works at the Neon Gene, which is a store I would totally go to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun music, a lot of cool clothes. There's some accidentally sexy dressing rooms.
Accidentally sexy dressing rooms? I don't know if it was an accident.
No, it was. That's because the girl's idiot cousin put in the doors. That's what she says.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I missed. Yep. I apologize.
Because there was a gay clothing store in New York that like had thinly frosted glass as their dressing rooms because it was like underwear and like sexy things. So you could like kind of. It wasn't like clear. It wasn't clear, but it was frosted to be like, that's kind of tantalizingly sexy.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that. Except this was a whole butt that was out.
Like a shower door, right?
Kind of, yeah.
That. So we go home. Hanks is cooking.
Oh, someone was shoplifting, and I thought it was going to be a bigger moment than it was.
Oh, really? I totally missed that.
There's a woman with like an IKEA bag sized bag, like the blue IKEA bag. It's a bright red bag, and she's like her friend and her like looking around, and she's stuffing things into this bag. And I was like, oh, is this going to be like a bit? Like, is this a character? No,
that's really funny.
A very small background bit.
Now, the friend who makes the blowjob observation, is that the one who's eating the cat food later?
I think so. She's like the 80s party girl, TM.
Yes. She doesn't seem that stupid in this scene. So later they show her like literally eating cat food out of a cat bowl.
Then maybe it wasn't her.
I was like, okay. Because I couldn't figure out the way that we'll get there when we get there. But I was trying to peg it back to this scene. But anyway, we get Tom Hanks cooking, and clearly he has no idea what the hell he's doing. Just randomly putting things in pots and turning.
Where is this movie supposed to take place? Do we know?
Like city-wise?
Yeah. It's not New York.
It certainly looks like California.
Okay. Because again, a giant apartment.
Yes. I mean, massive. It's like a huge loft, entire top floor of this building. He has like cubes of beef in a pan, and he doesn't have any burners left, so he just starts blowtorching them. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like kind of prescient. A lot of people this is like a thing people do now.
Yeah.
Like the sous vide thing, a lot of people are like, oh, the ultimate steak, you got to blowtorch it. I'm like, all right, calm down. This is ridiculous.
I mean, I do want a good crust, but...
Yeah, I agreed. I love a good crust, but a blowtorch seems a bridge too far. But truly unhinged cookery. My favorite part of which he's like, which spice are we going to add? And he closes his eyes and picks up the paprika and is like, it's Mr. Paprika, and just puts it on everything and then just like kind of throws the jar.
I feel like I only use paprika for deviled eggs.
Oh, I use paprika all the time. It's just crushed. It's just dried bell pepper.
I know, but like my go-to, like a garlic onion, like garlic powder, onion powder are like two of my go-tos. I never think about paprika.
Add paprika to that mix, baby. It's a good spice. You'll like it. Step your game up. Pretty much anything you put those two things on, you can put paprika on with no ill will, no repercussions. Smoked paprika, also very fun if you want to get a little.
We might have that.
Yeah. Insane gag where he's like, I hope you like potato salad. I made it extra crunchy.
I liked that. Like, that was funny.
It's a good joke, but if they're actually eating this, I have a lot of questions.
Well, I wonder if they were. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be like a baked potato that he put in the salad bowl.
It looked raw. It was a raw looking potato.
Because I love that. That joke is funny. Like, this movie has a lot of little jokes. And I'm like, that's solid.
Yeah. It's cleverer than it has any right to be, for sure.
Exactly.
The writer, who I exhaustively IMDb'd and then didn't write anything down, has written other stuff that makes it less surprising when you see that. But I will have to Google him while we're talking here. they're basically like, this food is terrible. You've done a bad job. And it's like, yeah, of course you have. Like I randomly chose spices and just,
And then she's upset about the bachelor party because it's just so annoying. She goes
right to hookers.
Huh?
She goes right to hookers,
yes.
which is baffling.
Because again, I thought stripper was like the common joke about a bachelor party. I didn't know that was like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have never heard it before. Oh, he's the director of Real Genius.
Oh, is it the
Val
Kilmer
we did for the podcast? And also, I forgot I should have written this anecdote down. So he was married to Amy Heckerling. He worked on Johnny Dangerously. He's not credited on it, but he worked on Johnny Dangerously. Married Amy Heckerling, director of.
Wait, is Heckerling
Clueless?
No, but is she related to Johnny Dangerously?
She, I believe, directed that.
Really?
Hold on, I'm checking. Maybe she just was in production.
That's involved. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word involved.
She directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
As well. So she directed 2 of the best
seminal high school movies.
Yeah. She did direct Johnny Dangerously. So also another stay tuned. She directed European Vacation, which was
she's a badass.
And then she did 2 of the Look Who's Talking movies, and then kind of took a long break. She also directed a movie I've never seen, but it stars Alicia Silverstone and
Kristen Ritter as vampires.
Yeah, which I was intrigued by.
It's not very. I've tried a couple of scenes. It's
no good.
It's not great, and I love both of those actresses, which was a bummer.
Here's the part that I was like, oh my gosh, this is some soap opera shit. So, he works on Johnny Dangerously, uncredited. They get married. They divorce in 1990 after they make Look Who's Talking 2 together. I guess that movie just killed their relationship.
I mean,
but they had a kid together, and it turned out years later, as she was a full grown person, not maybe she wasn't an adult, but turns out that actually the daughter was the biological child of Harold Ramis, who had an affair with Amy Heckerling and fathered this child and did not know about it. And she was just like, holy shit, Harold Ramis.
Oh my God. Harold Ramis.
So there was a DNA test done when she was much older, and it was turns out not your child.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is a story that I was like, wow, is there more details about this? No.
Where's that fucking Hulu miniseries?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so Tony Kitane's like, hey, you can't have any hookers there. And he's like, yeah, why would I have hookers there? What? And the movie doesn't treat it as a ludicrous question. It's like, nah, I'll tell them no hookers. And it's like, you have to tell them no hookers?
Yeah. Who are you friends with?
It's every movie about people getting married seems to have an element of, we must make the man run a infidelity gauntlet before he gets married to prove his value. And it's
Jesus.
If you have to test it this hard, perhaps you just need to marry someone else.
Yes. Also, society. If every movie and media you put out is men are disgusting, cheating pigs who have strippers at their bachelor party.
Yeah.
You're basically filling your house filling your house with gasoline and lighting it on fire and then being like, I can't believe this fire's happening. You're setting up everything. No shit that men are the worst.
Right. I do like the gag here where he chases her with the egg beater.
That was cute. That was very cute.
Cute couple moment. They have good chemistry together. She's not on the screen very much, but they have good chemistry, I thought.
I did that drunk at a college party once. I was at a house party.
Chase someone with an egg beater.
And I found one of those swirl, because I don't think we had one growing up. And
we did. Mom loves that thing. She makes eggs with it every time we are all at the house together now.
But that's in an OXO one. It's not It's a new one. And I've always seen them in movies, and I saw it at the party, and I was like, and so it became my toy to run around and
That is the extent of their practical use.
Yeah, pretty much.
Making eggs for 12 people simultaneously and chasing people.
Mm-hmm. Maybe whipping cream if you were doing that by hand.
Yeah, I mean it's probably less work than a whisk to do it with that. The brother, we meet the brother here. He's
Who
a
I thought
doctor,
was
and
Harold
he's
Ramis for a second. Speaking of Harold Ramis.
He does have a Ramis-y energy, yeah. But he's a classic don't get married guy, which is just the worst.
Yeah. Because he is married.
Yes.
To Wendy Jo. Have some fucking respect.
He's married to Marty McFly's sister.
Who, like, I wish she got more work before she passed away. She's so good in everything
energy.
I see her in.
Yeah, she brings a good heat, and it's weird to me. I'm sure what it is like she's not conventionally attractive, and therefore was useless to Hollywood at the time which she was.
But like, she could have easily been the '80s, like Melissa McCarthy in Melissa McCarthy's early days, because she has that like, I don't give a like, yeah, I'm gonna be goofy and unattractive as I'm punching a man and like doing and like flipping around the world. Like, she's so good at physical comedy.
The part where she kicks Tom Hanks' brother's ass at the end of the movie is genuinely one of the funniest parts of it. She does a bunch of wrestling moves. It's great.
Like, I was expecting her to get a folding chair.
Yeah, it's that type of energy. No, I agree. She's very talented and criminally underused. I also like the scene where like Hanks is being a maniac and like running around the waiting room and the brother's chasing him.
That was the scene where I noticed. I was like, oh, right. Tom Hanks used to be like a very physical actor.
Yeah, and I was stunned this doesn't end with like, he's my brother, folks. He was just being goofy. And
not
Hanks,
at all.
I wanted him to do that and then Hanks to run back in. No, I'm not his brother. You know what I mean? Like to kill it.
Yeah, you would think that the doctor would want to like assuage his patients in some way.
Yeah. So we cut to Hanks and the wife-to-be, Debbie, are playing tennis with Debbie's parents, who are old fuddy-duddies. So it's like, okay, we got our slobs versus snobs set up.
But also, Hanks is an asshole, I will say.
He is.
I like Tom Hanks. He's an asshole.
It's funny, but it's a huge day. Like, the first one is funny. The second one, I'd be like, all right, fuck you, buddy. Because they're playing tennis, and he lines up like he's taking a home run swing and just jacks a ball into outer space. Which, don't get me wrong, very fun to do with a tennis racket.
Yeah.
If you have the means, highly recommend it. But the second time, the guy's like, all right, you're not supposed to hit it that hard.
Because, yeah, her father even, like, you can tell he doesn't like Tom Hanks, but he's like, hey, buddy, you don't have to hit it that hard. Like, he's like not mean yet. And then Tom Hanks responds by being like, and he just like whacks it over the fence again. And it's like, if you don't want to play tennis, just don't go play tennis.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's a pretty easy invitation to turn down, I feel. Like, oh, my parents want to play tennis. Cool, I don't like that. Let's not do
We'll go over and have lunch and like lay by the pool and go swimming, but like...
Yeah. And I love the neighbor. The second one hits this neighbor in the head, and there's like 30 tennis balls on the lawn, which means Hanks has been doing this all day long. And he goes, one day I'm going to burn down their tennis court. It was just such a good
It was the perfect response.
Yeah. So we cut to Hanks having the talk with the dad, and I at first was really shocked because this is very much being like, my daughter can make her own choices. I think you're a piece of shit, but I can't control what she does. I wouldn't want to, but I'm telling you, like, you're no good for my daughter. You should do the right thing and walk away from her. Mm-hmm. Which sucks, but I thought it was going to be much more of like patriarchal bullshit. And I was kind of like, oh man, like this is shockingly. And then like 4 minutes later, it's like, oh no, it's just patriarchal bullshit in a different way.
I know.
He 100% doesn't think she can make the right choice and doesn't want her to do that. We meet the cousin, who is Debbie Harmon, who was in Used Cars.
Was she?
Some time ago. She was the lead, opposite Kurt Russell.
Okay. She's like very jaded in this movie.
Yeah, she's the cousin who hates men, except turns out is kind of a kinky freak.
It reminded me. So Jack and I are watching Wayward Pines on Hulu, which was a show from like 2015. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recently listened to those audiobooks, which are awesome for a long drive. It's really good. And then I watched the show, and I was like, this is hot garbage.
Oh, really? I liked it.
Did you get to the second season?
We're in the middle. We're almost on it. Well, the second season's not 2? The books.
Yes, it is.
That's not. I thought I read online that the first 5 episodes of the first season are one book, and the last 5 are books 2 and 3.
The first season's pretty drastically different from the book, but then season 2 is just the same show again with Jason Patrick instead of Matt Dillon, which is a huge downgrade.
But like we already also know everything now, so it's different.
Yeah.
But the secretary. In both seasons she plays the secretary. She's the redhead who was in the opening of Men in Black, Edgar's wife, and she was Elaine's roommate.
Yeah, she was also on SNL for like a minute.
She was
the bus driver. She's also the bus driver in Forrest Gump. I can't remember her name.
I did not know she was the bus driver in Forrest Gump.
Yes, there are pictures of her in the Bubba Gump shrimps nationwide.
She seems like a good sport.
Her name is unusual, and this is going to drive me insane. But anyway, we've given people 19 roles, so
you know who we're talking about. The cousin reminded me, and I think it's probably because she's fresh in my mind because we're watching Wayward Pines. But I was like, she reminded me of her. The same kind of energy of like a character actor who's specific and really memorable.
Yeah. She's very good. And then like the big turn at the end, I thought was funny as well. So she gets a little bit to do here.
Yeah.
The Ubermensch arrives just after Tom Hanks tells the parents, "Don't worry, she's super fertile and I am too. We're gonna pop out a bunch of babies for you real quick," which I found very funny. This is Cole. He's the antagonist of the movie. He's like the perfect.
He's the Billy Zane.
It's one of the daughter. Yes, this is the Zabka.
Zabka, thank you.
Yes, yeah. I mean, maybe a Billy Zane, but Zabka more likely.
So I went to his book. I was like, he looks very familiar. So I went to his Wikipedia, and like, sometimes you look at Wikipedia and you're like, who wrote this? Because this is weird.
I have a hunch that the answer is whatever this guy's name is.
But it doesn't seem. It seems more like his agent wrote it more than him.
Oh, or his mom.
Yeah, because it's like he's best known for playing the Cole in Bachelor Party. Period. He also had a cameo in Spaceballs as the sand cruiser driver, and I was like, huh?
You don't get to have a cameo unless you're very famous.
Yeah, a cameo is I'm a famous person here for a half a day's work.
Right.
And they worked around my schedule.
Right. Yeah. You were just working.
You were a featured extra.
Yeah. So he and the dad conspire, and it's like, get him to leave Debbie, and
he's really good.
Marry her.
Honestly, I mean, this is I feel like this is an easier role, but like he's good. He's easy to hate.
I think he does a good job.
Easy on the eyes.
But he corners Tom Hanks and is like, "I'll give you $5,000." Tom Hanks is like, "No." Then it's 10, and then it's 10 plus kitchen appliances, tools, and a set of tires.
He's basically playing Showcase Showdown.
Yeah, and it's like, this man doesn't have a car. He's driving his school bus as his primary vehicle. Like, he doesn't want tires.
I did think that was funny that Tom Hanks's car is just the bus.
Yeah, that every time I see that in the movie, it's still funny. So the dad, it goes on the full court press and is like, this man's no good for you. You shouldn't marry him. Like right before they're about to leave for the day. Cut to they're in bed at night, and there's kind of a nice sweet moment that kind of establishing the relationship where she's stressed out and can't sleep, and he's giving her like a back rub and trying to get her to soothe her, and it's not like the way I expect this to play would be like him trying to get in her pants here, and it's like, no, she's stressed. I'm trying to make her a little less stressed. It's very nice, I thought.
Yeah, it was a very sweet moment.
And then this is the part where the movie gets weird because he appears to be dropping her off at like pre-dawn at the parents' house for the bachelor party.
I thought it was. Well, dawn is the beginning of the day. What's the end of the day one?
Yes, dusk.
Dusk. I thought it was dusk.
Okay.
Twilight.
Maybe it was IRL dawn filmed to play dusk or something like that.
Yeah.
But it felt like morning light, not evening light to me, and I was like, why is he leaving at 5:40 a.m. for his bachelor party? Like, what a weird choice. Because then they're all on the bus and they get to the hotel. And your thing is much more logical than mine. That it's one long night. But it felt like dawn to me, and I was very confused. Also, the whole like surprise guest at the bachelor party, completely ludicrous move. Like, don't invite some stranger from
someone we haven't talked to in years.
I determined who I want to spend this weekend with. Thank you very much. Although, good gag on this guy where he's riding some stranger's suitcase.
That was funny. It's interesting because when his character first came in, I was like, oh, this is a gay-coded character. Like, he's mincing around. Like, this is weird. I thought we were going to get the punchline of like, well, I would get married if I could. Wink.
Yeah. No, he's just deeply clinically depressed, like John Cusack in Better Off Dead.
Yeah.
Spends the whole movie trying to kill himself. So we got they set up that there will be like shenanigans later with this elk costume because it's like the elk beer distributors convention.
Yeah, I thought it was just an Elks Club, and then they're like, it's the elk beer
So did
distributors,
I.
and I was like, why not? I guess maybe the Elks Club is litigious. I don't know.
But like, if it's gonna be the beer distributors, like, shouldn't that like? Why is there not a scene where they steal beer?
Yeah, kegs, still kegs.
Well, like, but there should be a bit of like, we're out of beer, and then it's like, oh, isn't this a beer distributors convention? And then they like do like a hijinksy beer bit, and they steal beer. I feel
would like that.
No brainer. But also, we get two people in a mule costume, or elk costume, which is like, well, I bet that comes back later.
So they send fake Frank Oz to procure some sex workers for the night, and he's like being.
And a different fake Frank Oz is the hotel manager who's like, now you kids don't get up to any ruckus noise making in my hotel.
Well, so this is actually the hotel. I'll jump to the hotel guy because this movie makes really good use of a bit of a group of people clapping for someone, like gently clapping.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize was something I needed to start like doing in my life because
it is a good bit.
It's a group of people, and he's like, I don't remember how he phrased it. Like, do you know who I am? Or like, I'm the hotel manager, and they're all like, oh, good for you.
Yeah. And later when Cole shows up, Tom Hanks introduces him, and then everybody does the little clap.
Yeah, it's like this very lovely bit. I'm like, that's good. This might be my new thing.
It's a good bit. I really love Adrian Zemed at the door being like, gentlemen, start your boners. It's like truly the weirdest thing you could say to
straight dudes are real gay.
Friends. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I don't know if they know it, but they're real gay.
And then opening the door. Oh, they're aware. And then opening the door, and there's a banner that says "Happy Bachelor Party." And I was like, wow, my friends and brothers are really slacking. I didn't have any banner.
Do they make like same penis banners for bachelorettes? But
Adrian Zemed clearly made this banner.
Yeah, he finger painted.
He 100% did.
But yeah, so they sent fake Frank Oz to procure sex workers, but he's being tailed by Cole.
Yes.
Who, as soon as fake Frank Oz leaves, he goes over. He's like, "Oh, that's my friend. Here's the real address we want to send the ladies to. It's a special secret for the Bachelor." And I was like, "This feels like we should verify a few things, but I guess there's no way to do that in this line of work in this era."
I also like that, like, how casually people thought of pimps for fictional characters. It was like, they're just like, oh, it's just a fun, flamboyant man whose job is to basically own women and force them to do sex acts. Cool.
Yeah,
definitely a fun character. The pimp.
but the sex worker women, they are something to be mocked and laughed at.
Yeah. And it's like, one of these people is just trying to get by. One of these people is
people is the landlord in this situation, and the landlord's always the bad guy.
Yeah. So we watched some reel-to-reel pornography that the women have edited by splicing, which is so laborious.
Although don't you just tape it?
But you have to watch it and find the scene and then splice it.
Oh yeah. It didn't seem long. It seemed like it was a 30-minute video.
Yeah, I mean, a one reeler is probably half an hour.
Yeah,
but still, like you had to put that through a splicing machine, or they like did it by hand and just
cut it and taped
the film. Yeah, but I'm saying you had to look frame by frame through the sex. And be like, okay, there's boobs, clip, and then spin. Okay, now they're done, cut, splice. It's a lot more work, is all I'm saying.
I agree. But it's weird for a bunch of straight dudes to sit around watching porn together without the express intent of doing some stuff.
Yeah, it is an odd choice.
At least a little over the pants, something. Come on.
Yes. Yeah. Unless it was like something particularly odd, like maybe it's like I remember seeing someone uploaded to YouTube. It was not there very long, but it was all of the not sex parts of the Seinfeld porn parody.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, there was a run when I was in college where like every major sitcom got a porn parody. But the Seinfeld one, I remember seeing this upload to YouTube back in the Wild West days when people just put stuff up there, and I was shocked
before it became
at,
a platform with a capital P.
Yeah, it was shockingly well written. Like clearly, whomever was writing the jokes liked Seinfeld.
Yeah. Well, isn't the porn parody of Pirates of the Caribbean like one of the most expensive pornographies ever made?
I don't think it's a parody of Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just a porn film called Pirates. And the reason I'm so well versed on this one is because the Maryland Student Union was going to play it. And it was going to be like they brought in someone.
I made a face. That's why he said yeah, by the way. I realized this is a not visual medium.
They were going to play it in the theater on campus, and they were going to have a talk by like a sexual health related talk to go with this.
Yeah,
but it was
that's cool.
Kind of the attention to everything. Well, the Maryland state legislature did not think it was cool because they threatened to pull the university's funding if they let it happen, and so they did not do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I assume did you have to write an article about it happening then?
I don't think I was at the paper yet, but I was like, my friends and I were like, I mean, this is very weird to go watch porn together, but we should probably go see this porn in a theater, right? Like, it would be a very odd experience.
Yeah.
Like, many people were planning to go, and then obviously we didn't. But yeah, they threatened to pull funding at the university, so other people wrote about it. Just not
that tracks for government.
every part about it tracks. Yeah,
But I thought it was Pirates of the Caribbean. It was like actually like filmed on like a pirate boat.
it is filmed on a boat and costs millions and millions of dollars. It was like it's a regular movie. They believe they released a non-porn cut of it to actual theaters at some point.
Wow.
And I think maybe they ended up playing that at school. I think was maybe the thing. But yeah. Yeah, so very, very expensive, but not a parody as far as I'm aware. So we're watching the real porn, and then we cut to the sex workers showing up at the wedding
with
shower
Debbie Jo.
by Debbie.
With Wendy Jo.
Yes. Who, like, there's a knock on the door. The two sex workers start talking. She is like, I'm Dr. Tina. And she's like making a face like, and I don't know who these women are. Please
She's like,
help me.
she's wearing white gloves and a skirt suit.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
that vibes. Skirts, like pastel skirt suits and gloves.
Yeah. So the two sex workers come in and they're like, oh, I guess it's one of these parties, huh? Like, yeah, here we go again. And then they undress to lingerie, and we have a whip and a plug-in vibrator, and we're just like, all right, a show is coming, whether you want it or not. That's the
They
part
came
that I
in
could not
hot.
believe. Yeah, it's like they come in at 11, and not one woman at this party is like, excuse me, what's going on?
What are you doing?
Like, all of these prim and proper ladies, you'd think one of them might be like, hey, I'm sorry, what's happening right now?
See, I would have. This is not the movie. This is not this movie. If like the sex workers got there, realized that they had been someone's trying to pull a fast one on this groom. Let's play along, and we're friends of the bride. And suddenly they're like eating tea sandwiches and like, oh, I work with her. And just like the trick is just point across the room and be like, oh, I know them. And then you wave, and they kind of give a confused wave and like, that's who I know.
I would like them to pull like very fetishy black gloves out, and they're like, well, okay, and they're just like wearing these wrong colored gloves.
Yes,
and you know, being prim and proper. It's a funnier joke, I think.
But then the rest of the movie doesn't happen. So
yeah, exactly. Cole shows up to Tom Hanks's bachelor party, and he's trying to get him to take his Porsche. So they send Rudy, the oil drinker from before, to go mess with the Porsche.
Actually, so I don't know. I wrote this note down here, and then after wrote Chekhov's mechanic. So I don't know where it happens, but Adrian Zmed.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bits in this movie feel sort of Mel Brooksy, National Lampoony, and so Adrian Zmed is like goes up a few steps into this like landing and turns around to the group that is behind the camera, and he's like says something like, this is how you enjoying the party, and then like pretzels and popcorn and stuff get thrown at him, and then someone throws a can at him, and he catches it and sips out of it and tosses it over his shoulder, and it's just like the smoothest catch. And I was like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah, I was genuinely curious if that was on purpose or just a happy accident that they had.
I'm thinking happy accident.
Yeah, because the can must be empty for safety purposes.
Yeah.
So throwing it with any level of accuracy is much more difficult, yeah. So the car gets disappeared by Rudy. Meanwhile, the ladies are heading to
there's also a
Chippendales.
really funny like another game show moment where Tom Hanks is like, should I take Debbie or should I take the car? And all the guys are like being the audience members like, take the car, take Debbie, what's the mileage?
Yeah. And he starts talking about the low mileage and stuff. The fact that this Cole guy thinks that this plan will work is so strange to me.
I'm like, he needs to be dumber then.
Yeah. Because he escalates to trying to murder Tom Hanks
with a crossbow at the party.
Yes. Yeah. So you'd think he would like have been less chill in these early parts, but whatever. The ladies go to Chippendales, which is a really fun bit of business. And surprisingly, they're not naked men, but you see a lot more than I was expecting. It's like just
I was hoping for more butt.
Yeah. It was the 80s.
I know they made this movie for boys, but like, I wanted more butt. And it's also cute that the Chippendales guys have backup dancers. Like I've seen a lot of like burlesque strippy stuff, and I'm like, I've never seen backup dancers before. That's cute.
Yeah, it's a good ad. You get some nice business here. The Tina, the doctor, is it Mary Jo?
Wendy Jo. She gets like reluctantly pulled into it and then is like into it. Here's the thing. Stuff. I know this is movie world, and like obviously Wendy Jo is going to let loose because that's the kind of actress comedian she is. But like consent is a key thing in this sort of a performance space between audience and person and performer. Yeah. Consent is a big thing.
I got the impression that her reluctance was like dad on vacation, like, well, all right, someone has to volunteer, and not actually, I don't want to do this. That was my read of the performance.
I mean, I think yes, because it is movie world, and like we know that Wendy Jo is going to end up being like, woo! Yeah. But like in a real performance-y space like this, like you read the room. If you go to touch someone and they recoil, you just you pull away and you go to someone else.
Yeah. We meet your favorite character in the movie, Nick the Dick.
I have to say, this is the best off-screen dick ever. Like
it's very
everything good. About like the sound design and like the framing, everything about him, like this is perfect. Because again, they give a little clap.
Yeah, he's like. Can we see it? And he unzips and it is like, a hose unfurling from the man's pants. And Tom Hanks looks genuinely impressed. It's like a really great, like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're a blessed individual.
Oh, boy.
Huh? They do a hot dog bun gag here. Actually, also very funny, the Nick the Dick. I don't know if I remember if I ever told you this thing, but the Eagles quarterback who won the Super Bowl, Nick Foles, allegedly has a hammer.
Oh, did it leak?
And no pictures, but just it was like a hey, who's got the biggest hammer? And it was like, oh, they call him Big Dick Nick for a reason. And that was like
what?
Other people, like they asked that question to other members of the team who all did like a no comment kind of response.
Y'all are in the same locker room.
No. Like the bit that I was doing is like no comment. Like I'm not going to on the record tell you that my teammate has a big peen, but it was like a no comment.
Gotcha.
Like that. I wasn't actually coughing. That was a performance based.
No, but that's what I mean. Like I thought you were saying like I was like y'all are in the same locker room. It's not gay.
No, it was like I out of respect for my teammates' privacy, I cannot possibly tell you that. But so anyway, Nick and Big Dicks runs right there in the name.
Huh.
But this culminates in Debbie's mother. Everybody takes their things off the tray. He's got his hog in a hot dog bun, and she's like trying to pull it and can't. And this goes on for like an excruciating
too long
time. Where it's like
unless all the dicks are shaped like hot dogs, which feels like a funny bit for a strip club.
Yeah. But she's got a handful of this hog and is trying to pull it to her plate and just cannot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Later, there's a nice bit where she's like shell shocked and she's like, "It was in this palm," and she's just staring at her hand like
a strange man's penis.
Yeah.
The cousin also spots the Bachelor crew.
Yes. And so she hatches a plan for revenge. She's like very very man hater in this movie.
And then it's funny because we do see Wendy Jo let loose and go crazy and like bite the stripper's thong off.
Yeah.
Or no, it's a loincloth that reveals a thong. And her husband, the doctor, gets mad.
And then he has full-on sex with at least one woman, which is like way worse.
That's a very different thing, buddy.
Yeah. Really uncomfortable bit with an Indian gentleman who is like, there's like a Gandhi joke that sucks. It's just like, I don't know why this is in the movie, but
he's a pimp.
And what honestly is the biggest, like that part sucks, but my biggest disappointment with this scene is like from a movie watching standpoint is we introduced this giant dude who is like the big tough guy, and then he's in one scene later where he doesn't do tough guy stuff. I was like, oh, I would.
He's
gonna
crack a watermelon or like a walnut with his hands or something.
Throw a dude out a window or something.
He's gonna eat
give
glass.
Me a Fresh Prince here. Yeah, nothing. So we come back to the hotel and Brad, the long lost friend, is trying to drown himself in the bathtub, but like from the side.
Yeah, there's a lot of suicide jokes in the movie that I didn't love.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't really make those jokes anymore, but it's to me it's like Better Off Dead with just like the absurdity of the situations in which he's trying to kill himself is funny. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I think if this movie were more in the goofier Better Off Dead side of things, I think obviously those jokes land better. Like with Heathers, like those things land better when you know you're not in the real world firmly.
It's very funny to me because like, obviously Heathers didn't land for me, but like Heathers feels sad and dark, and this like he's kind of cut his wrist with an electric shaver. I did like, okay, that would have got me. That got me. Meanwhile, Seinfeld guy Rudy is eating like $3,000 worth of candy bars in the hotel lobby, but he's like opening them, taking one bite, and putting them back,
which is a weird move. Like, just eat the whole thing.
Well, I think he's trying to avoid paying for them.
Obviously, but like it'd be funnier. I think it's funnier if it cuts back and it's just a tray of wrappers.
Yeah. So meanwhile, he tells the portion like
he tells Cole like, "Oh, hey, your car's out front and it's painted with like flames and racing stripes and Cole's name."
Yeah. And there's like a volcano with like palm trees on the side too.
Yeah.
Very good and stupid. We come back to the room. There are very many sex workers in it.
Where are Tom? So it's weird. We cut to the room.
Yes.
And then we cut to the lobby. And then we cut back to the room, and Adrian Zameda and Zameda.
Z-M-E-D-A.
Zameda and Tom Hanks are walking back into the hotel room. And I'm like, from where though? Were you getting ice?
I assumed Chippendales, and there was like a distract him sort of vibe coming off the thing. But yeah, it is weird.
No, because they're in the room. Because he talks to the friend in the bathroom. The guy trying to kill himself.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, they probably it was probably edited and just like edited in an odd sequence. But it is weird. There's this awesome band.
I'm obsessed with this band.
I meant to stay through the credits and get their name, and I forgot to do it. But they're dressed like a 50s or 60s girl group, like
it's like a very B-52s energy.
Yeah, that's a great way to put
like
it.
Like Weirdo Rock. I don't know what there's whatever that.
Yeah, Weirdo Rock is exactly the B-52s. That is exactly what they are. That's exactly it. But they come in and they're like just this fun party band, but also they have a wild vibe. The older brother cheats on his wife at this point, and we have just like an out of control raging party happening.
It feels more, at this point, it feels less bachelor party, more college party. And then later it starts to feel like a high school. I feel like it just regresses to being like, now it's a high school party where just like doesn't really feel sexy.
Yeah, because there's like at one point like a group of people knocks on the door like, we heard your band, can we join the party? And they're like, yeah, have fun. And it's like, huh? Wait, what?
It's just a party, I guess.
Energy. Yeah.
We have a man in a dress because that's funny.
I was like, this is gonna be really bad. And don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it's not as bad as I was.
Yes, it is not as shitty as it could have been.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what color that is in the metals lineup. Rust.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's like we know where this is going to end up, and it's just like, how bad is it going to end up there? And it's like,
because first I was like, because it's not explicit. I was like, I think that's a man. I was like, as someone who's seen a lot of men in dresses, I think that's what this is. But then I was like, I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna spell it out. So maybe I'm wrong.
So it was like, I was like, there's a couple ways this go. This could just be, it is played by a man in a dress, but it's clearly supposed to be a woman, and it's just like, it was a very big woman and Gary is very small, and
that's
like,
the joke.
The joke is like the woman is huge and the man is tiny is like the joke, and it's like, okay, I've
Danny
seen that
DeVito
before,
and Dot Marie Jones.
Yeah. There's a joke like that in Deuce Bigalow where like the woman is so big she's too tall to be on screen.
Snoo.
Remember that?
Yeah,
basically.
I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen? I thought we watched Deuce Bigalow in our like time frame of watching like that, Dickie Roberts, all these shitty.
It's entirely possible we did. I have no memory of it.
Well, I just remember there being a gag. Like the gag was like Rob Schneider is on screen and the woman you only see like the bottom of her dress because she's like 9 feet tall.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
And like she's huge. So I was like, okay, maybe it's that. And then it's like later we're in the bathroom with Gary and I'm like, okay, so
here it comes.
The person dressed like a woman is going to pee standing up and it's going to be a problem. That's exactly what the joke is. And then the cutaway is like Gary washing himself and like spitting water out. And I was like, all right, like this could be worse.
But also
it's
like,
not great.
What happened, Gary, that you didn't know that? What actually happened in that bed?
Yeah,
girl?
It's like, did he just make out? Because like,
because he comes in being like, I'm in love. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is like everything about his energy coming in is like, I just had sex. Like,
yes.
Yes. Hey, Alexa, play The Lonely Island. Like,
yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I didn't know that this was.
So earlier, there's a bit where one of the guys is trying to purchase a hand job explicitly. Was that Gary?
I think it was Gary.
This is okay. So maybe it was just a hand job, and that's why.
That's sad. No. If that's your reaction to a hand job, I'm sorry to tell you that is sad.
We like to talk about how characters are coded. I don't know if I need to tell you this explicitly, but I guess I do. Gary is coded as a guy who doesn't have sex very often.
I know.
So anyway, Brad tries to cut his wrist with a shaver. That's pretty solid. We have a good gag here where Adrian Zameda is like, hey, Tom Hanks, I got your old girlfriend. She's in there waiting for you naked, which is like a ludicrous sentence, but it is true.
It's
like,
bonkers.
He does open the door. Yeah. Like,
because my note was, we all know Hanks isn't going to cheat on Debbie. And then I was like, right. And then he walks in the room and I was like, wait a minute. He's not, he walked in the room like, and isn't immediately like, put your clothes on. This isn't like, I was like, oh no, wait a minute. There's conflict.
But it's even better because this weird changing head gag is amazing.
It's worth it for that.
So it's like, first it's Debbie who's like, I thought you said you wouldn't do this. And then it's the brother who's like, hey, well, look at this body. You don't want this. And it was
and then a nun.
Really well done. Yeah, really good. Really, really good. And surprisingly, like, good special effect for this movie,
shockingly.
Which has no budget. Yeah, I was impressed. It's one of the funnier gags of the movie.
I agree.
Meanwhile, Cole's across the street setting up a crossbow at a different hotel.
Buck wild.
Yeah, just like a truly bonkers.
Oh, they also, we cut to two of the guys who I think one of them is the brother trying to get a donkey because someone's gonna have sex with a donkey, and I was like, flabbergasted. And then I remembered that I'm pretty sure this happens in the book Wicked too.
There's a donkey show in the book Wicked?
The book Wicked is not the musical Wicked, like to the point where they should not share a title. Like,
there's a gag in Clerks 2 about a donkey show that gets like further along, and like there's this like the weird energy. Like, this is allegedly something you can see in Tijuana. I don't know.
That's
I've never
that's
been
the
to
joke.
Tijuana.
Yeah.
I would not go to this were I in Tijuana for a number of reasons that would make me very sad. But like this, we talked about this a little bit in Stripes, where it's like, I hesitate to say that this is fine if it's your thing, because I don't think it's fine if it's your thing.
I think for the animal it's not, because it's animal cruelty.
It's not okay. Yeah, I don't think this is fine if it's your thing. If it's your thing, that's not okay to me. But I also think that it is like, an extremely, 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 extremely niche thing. Like with the Stripes, we're talking about mud wrestling, which like isn't my thing, but I wouldn't be horrified by it. Right. Like I'm not horrified by the idea of naked mud wrestling. It's just not something that does it for me. I don't need it. Thank you. This, I feel, is a way more niche act. And they're just like, oh yeah, this party will love it. And then the party does, in fact, love it.
So weird.
They're all like, yeah, I want to see this lady fuck a donkey. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that is in the book Wicked too. At the Philosophy Club is what the sex club is called.
Okay, well, note to self, don't read Wicked.
The book Wicked is like a political thriller.
About the Wicked Witch?
Yeah, so you know how in the musical, it's like, she learns that the wizard is a fraud and like spends the rest of her life like sort of fighting him. In the book, she's like leads a regime against the dictator of the wizard, and it's like Reagan, like clearly it's like McCarthyism and Reagan and like shitty Republicans, and like there's a lot more in the book Wicked.
Very different, yeah, very very different. That's for sure. So. While Cole is setting up his thing and this donkey is being procured, the ladies dress up as sex workers and show up at the hotel.
In like wigs and lingerie. It's very fun and silly.
Yeah.
It feels like
super silly.
A weird version of that like old-timey photo booth thing that's at every boardwalk.
Here's my thing in this. So the gag is like they end up in a room full of Japanese businessmen who thought that they were getting prostitutes and are like, you know, ready to have
sex,
all sorts of sexual activity. Isn't it funnier if they come to the party and then they just like, oh, this is just a fun party and everybody has a fun time? Like, I think it's funnier.
I think that's a lot funnier.
It's like setting aside the like, you know,
the racism and everything.
It's a pretty racist depiction of the Japanese men, but like, it's just way funnier to me if they show up at the party and then they're like, oh, this looks fun. Like, this doesn't, like, nothing bad seems to be happening here. Everyone just seems to be having a good time.
Or they show up at the party trying to be hookers and sex workers, and they're like, hey, big boy, you wanna, and they're like, you wanna dance?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you use a punch?
Anyway.
Like, I think that's the even funnier version where they're trying to make it happen, and it's like, no, that's not the vibe.
And cut to, like, the moms doing keg stands. Like, I think that'd be good.
I love that energy. Or mom takes a pot brownie and doesn't know it.
Yeah. Give me any number of these. Instead, so they get dropped off in the hotel room with them, and then the donkey starts eating all of the drugs in the room. Or am I jumping ahead too far? I guess it's a little ahead. Yeah,
a little ahead. Because
that's right. So they have to deal with the coal problem. Yeah,
first they go to deal with the coal problem, and they bring the ex-girlfriend to seduce him, and their plan is that she'll knock on the door in her lingerie and be like, take me, and his response is just to pull her in the room, and it's like, hey, you should have a question, just a question at this point, like, maybe more, but one is good.
He operates with like a 17-year-old boy who's like, yep, this is exactly how I was always told this would happen, no questions, no notes.
So then I love when I write notes, and as I'm writing, I look up at the screen and I'm like, well, this note is useless now, and then I have to like amend it because they strip him naked and like wrap him up in sheets and dangle him out the window.
It's a good bit,
and so like you can see it looks like he's wearing one of those high cut leotards.
Yes,
because you can see like leg all the way up, and I was like, he's naked and we can't see his goddamn butt. This is some bullshit. And as I'm writing that, we cut to a couple we've never seen before in a hotel room. And I was like, oh, well, let me just scratch that out because hang on. And 2 seconds later, the man goes, let me open the window. There's supposed to be a beautiful moon tonight. And I was like, well, here we go.
Yep. Good bit. I would argue that this butt and then the fact that it gets kissed later is probably equal to the amount of breasts you get in this movie in terms of male-female.
Slightly less. There's slightly less butt than breast. There's more breast in this movie.
Yeah. I'm just saying no breast gets kissed, but this butt.
That's true. That's true. Okay, that's true.
So we're weighing things on a scale. That's all. This couple, by the way, who is kissing in the hotel room, it has the worst on-screen kiss I've ever seen. It looks like the man looks like he's trying to chew on her chin.
Yeah, it's not good. I feel like they were just randoms. They were not. This was not a casting situation.
Yeah.
So then we cut to them out in their car because they're all horrified. It seems like this is gonna be the first time they have sex.
Yes.
And so they're sitting in the car as he's dangling down the window, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought he was gonna crash onto the windshield.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be ham on the windshield. And then he goes...
But a better joke.
A much better joke, because the guy goes, let me get you some air. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And he opens the sunroof and then butt through the sunroof and they kiss it. By mistake.
So good. So good. They're going to kiss each other, and instead they kiss either side of this man's butt.
It's great.
So Cole's crying to the dad. Meanwhile, the donkey arrives.
Not his dad, the dad.
No, yeah, the dad. Yes, yes. So this lady's doing like the lady dancing around the mule is doing a burlesque show. She's got like fans and she keeps saying
she's got a lot of
pasties,
a lot of showmanship here.
Yeah, and she's like dancing around and around thing. But the weird thing to me is like I would think that you would need the woman and the donkey to be a package deal, not just like I will acquire the donkey and you come, like, right? Like this is.
You would
this
think
is
it is
donkey.
weird that it's like, you bring me a donkey and I'll do anything, toots.
Yeah, exactly. She's got that exact voice because of all of the cigars that she smokes.
You would think
And
she
so-
supplies the donkey, at least.
Yeah, I would think that you would pay a premium to the woman because she also brings a donkey. She's like dancing around it, and then meanwhile the donkey starts eating chips, and I was like, "My buddy, that's me.
That's
the
my
party,
man."
Just a big bowl of chips." And then he sees
And those
the
are
drugs,
Ruffles,
and it's
too.
like, actually, yeah, they are. It's a good chip. And then no dip, but beggars and choosers. But then the donkey sees the drugs and is like, my favorite, and just starts eating the pills on the
And
table.
snorting the
And
coke?
I assume that the pills were just like the capsules with nothing in them, but there's also a world in which this donkey actually just ate a bunch of drugs.
Or they could have been like
80s.
Tic Tacs.
Yeah. Well, they're like the little capsule guys. They have like different colors.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like on a table from that distance, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it was much like we've joked about before of just like pill drugs at a party. It was always just like a loose
pile
menagerie of colors, and it's just like, what are these? I was like, I don't know. Some are uppers, some are downers, some are Quaaludes. It's just
Some
like,
are candy corn.
We need one of those little containers with different like a crudité.
The crudité.
Here's the carrots. Here's the celery. Here's the tomatoes.
Here's the
and I want
radishes.
the pills separated. Yeah, with little labels in there. Tell me what this drug is. Who's just taking mystery pills?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do that. We're not those
Apparently.
people.
Apparently. So the dad arrives, sees the donkey show. He's obviously horrified. Adrian Zemaida is like, I'll take care of this. Go in the back bedroom. There's a phone. You can make your phone call. And then he sends 17 sex workers in after.
And he grabs his camera because he brought his camera to the party.
Yeah. 'Cause
He's
a
also been
photographer.
topless for a lot of this movie. He's got a nice little body.
Yeah, he is. He's like 80s good shape as opposed to Marvel good shape.
Yes, exactly.
So the mule's dead. We have to carry it out of the room.
It's
and they
so
just stick-
weird.
They stick it in the elevator, and they're like, "All right, problem solved."
So, not really that similar, but similar energy. This YouTuber, comedian, writer that I like, Mabry Hart, said that her mom came to one of her shows, and she was staying in a hotel that like had a museum art exhibit in like the lobby area, and she goes, so I came back to my room after like my mom would do her thing. I came back to the room. She took a penguin from the art museum exhibit and brought it back to the room, and I was like, you can't just take that. And she was like, what? She's like, it's part of the art. Like, what are you doing? And she was like, I have a plan. And her plan was put it in the elevator and hit L and just sent it down to the lobby.
It's exactly this. The mom has seen Bachelor Party very clearly.
Yeah. I mean, Mamrie's dad was an actor in the 80s. He was apparently in Silver Bullet, so.
Oh, okay. So the ladies are like trying to get away from the Japanese businessman, and Eileen is like, don't worry, I'll take care of this. And her plan to take care of it is like, I think she's just going to have sex with
She's
them.
just going to have sex. Because she says, I'll hold him off. You ladies
Yeah.
leave.
So Eileen, the one who's a man hater, has secretly been harboring a desire for an 8-on-1 situation.
And so this is where the ladies, or not the, because the ladies see the donkey, and most of them leave, and then
Yes.
Gabby? No.
Debbie.
I was like, it's written in my notes. Debbie sees the room number signs and is like, I'm going to the party. And this is where I was like, it just feels like a Rager high school party. It feels like Project X.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the guys see her and they're like, oh no. And I'm like, I don't know why you're saying, oh no, nothing bad this is just a party. Like, some of the people aren't wearing all of their clothes, but it is not like
the worst thing in the world.
There's not an orgy happening.
So Tom Hanks says, go talk to her like you've never met her before and send her to the back bedroom. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a fun little bit of subterfuge. This is cute. But then like he doesn't play it right to say like, I know it's you. Like it should have ended with him flicking on the light and being like, gotcha.
Or like the other thing I thought would make sense is like he's faking asleep in the bed, or he's like laying down in the bed. He's like, guys, I told you, like, I'm just tired. Like, please have fun, but I'm done. Like, it's been a great party. You guys have done a great job. But like, you have your fun with your ladies and stuff. I'm going to bed. I'm getting married to Debbie tomorrow, or whatever date. It doesn't say it's tomorrow. But no, he does this. He plays this as bad as you could play it for not having done anything wrong. He plays it exactly the worst.
Like, he just plays along the whole time. And then she's like, you pig. And he's like, I knew it was you. And I was like, yeah, but you need to show that. Pull the wig off. Turn on the light.
Yes, exactly. So there's a big misunderstanding. They kind of like solve this in 90 seconds because the movie's almost over. She finds the dad in the back bedroom. That's the kerfuffle. Then the cops show up with the other fake Frank Oz, and now the party's getting broken up.
And the cops just let everyone scatter.
You know, there's a good bit where he's like standing in the hallway trying to catch people and just missing them all as if they're playing Red Rover or something.
And then the great button on the end of the joke, because the room is trashed and empty, and it's just like over the shoulder of the hotel manager, and then all of a sudden after a few seconds the piano collapses, and I was like, that's brilliant. Yeah,
a good nice like thunderous key sound too. So this is when Wendy Jo beats up the Tom Hanks' brother.
It's great.
Really great.
She sees him being carried away holding another woman's hand, and she's like, just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Stanley? What'd you say?
First, she does like an assisted drop kick to one cop and then a judo throw over her shoulder of the other cop who had been lifting her. And then she's just wailing on the brother. It's very brilliant. Good business. But this is the part where it's like, there's an extra scene in this movie that doesn't need to be here. Mm-hmm. And it's the scene where Cole is like, I know what I should do. Kidnap Debbie.
Although,
like, hey,
honestly,
bud, you lost.
I thought this sequence was really funny. So I would rather lose something else and keep this.
Yeah. That's fine. Like, it could have happened earlier or something, but it is a good sequence. I do like it. But
because if you told me the movie Bachelor Party was going to end with a 70s cop show car chase, I wouldn't have believed you.
Right. So he like grabs, they get separated in the crowd. He grabs Debbie. He throws a guy out of a city construction vehicle, hijacks it, and then is like fleeing while the guy is like putting cones down. And
he's still putting cones down as he's like frantically driving.
So he like runs to this movie theater that's having a 24-hour 3D film festival, which is a wild.
No, it's just a 36 theater.
It's 36. A 36. It is a 36 screen theater, but the sign on top of it says 24-hour 3D film festival.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, so it's a 36 screen movie theater. And I do love, because I have encountered this situation before, so Hanks and the gang is chasing Debbie and Cole. Debbie and Cole have gone into a theater. And
also, Debbie's not screaming for help enough.
Yeah, exactly. She's very relaxed about this, but they go to look at the map of how the theaters are laid out, and it's complete gobbledygook.
It looks like Wonderland.
Yeah,
this way, that
I've
way.
seen this before. Yeah, it's like, for some reason, if you go left, it's theaters 2, 4, and 6, and if you go right, it's every other theater. Why is 2, 4, and 6 down this weird hallway? I don't know.
Well, it's better than when I went to see Multiverse of Madness, and not one person scanned my ticket because I walked confidently to the snack bar, and then there were no labels on any theater of like what was playing in the theater, and I was like, well, I heard someone talk about Scarlet Witch, so I'm gonna follow them, hoping for the best.
Well, luckily for you, at this time, every theater was showing that movie. So it was 19 showings of that, and then one single showing of whatever family movie was also out.
No, actually, I think it was. I mean, this is not a big theater. I think it was. There's only like there were only 2 theaters showing. I keep wanting to say WandaVision, Multiverse.
There's also a good gag here where they're like running down the theater hallway, and it's like they open the door of the theater, and it's one guy in a broom closet with the TV in front of him, and they're like, "Oh, it's a small theater."
I like that.
Was good.
And then we get this. I like this whole bit at the end where they become an accidental shadow cast for this 3D movie is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really well done, and clearly, like, the movie is filmed for this. It looks, like that. Really, really funny stuff. Very, very silly, but good. And like, I love the gag where like first Cole gets thrown into this guy's lap, and then he jumps back at Hanks, and then Hanks goes into his lap and comes back, and the guy says to the lady with him, he's like, "Wow, this is the best 3D I've ever seen." She's like, "I don't know, I've seen better," and she promptly gets actually punched in the face.
I was like, that is a perfect joke. That is a perfect joke.
Yeah. Really, really funny. And she's like, "Wow, this really is accurate." It was delightfully silly.
And then it ends with the bus coming through the screen.
A la the Muppets.
Yeah, at the end of Muppet Vision.
Yeah. This is very Muppet Vision 3D. So we cut, and we're doing the wedding ceremony, and will you kiss this? You may now kiss the bride. And then Hanks is like, "Actually, I got one thing," and he grabs the egg beater, which is a fun little.
I thought he was going to get the wig. I was like, is he grabbing the wig?
Oh, that would have been fun too. So we hop on the car that's being driven by the formerly suicidal Brad, who now seems to have his shit together. And the back of the car, instead of saying "just married," it says "just had sex"
or "just having sex."
Just having sex. And then, ludicrously, the final audible line in this movie is "lay the pipe, Rick," and then that's the end of the movie.
It's weird.
Calling back to them, like yelling that line while trying to watch the porno, which is very strange. Would you recommend this? I honestly don't. I usually feel like I know the answer to that question, and I don't.
Honestly, it's not bad. It's not too long.
Yeah.
It's not too long. It's not terrible. Obviously, I don't love the homophobia, transphobia, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Whatever flavor of hatred you want to call it.
I don't know what to categorize it as, but it certainly sucks.
Yeah, it's like what do they say about pornography? I don't know what it is, but I know when I see it. Yeah. I don't know how to define this, but I know it's bad.
Yeah, I also would recommend this though.
There's several funny moments.
I don't cut you off. Yeah. It's funnier than I expected it to be, and it's way more clever than I expected it to be. I was expecting this to be a lot more base. Hanks is always great, but this is my favorite. This is a Hanks energy I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would recommend this too. I think it's shockingly still pretty funny, and like the stuff that you think is going to be really bad in it isn't. Like I was like, oh, this donkey thing.
It's bad, really but it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this donkey thing could be a nightmare. Oh no, it's just like the gag is the donkey is dead and they have to deal with it. So. Yeah, I would recommend this. I think it's worth your time. Unfortunately, it is not streaming anywhere. I had to get this on DVD from the library. I had to request a Bachelor Party.
It feels prime for like Tubi or Crackle.
Yeah. And also, like, it seems like a movie that you feel like, oh, they could remake this. And it's like, yeah, they did. It's The Hangover. They made 3 of them. They all made hundreds of millions of dollars.
There were 3 Hangovers?
Uh-huh. I didn't know that until recently either, but yes, there is a third one.
Is the second one the one that takes place in like China, or is that the third one?
I think it might be Thailand,
but I don't think there's not a China and a Thailand. There's
I don't know. I'm not really sure, but yes, one of them does take place there. I'm not sure what the deal is. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you haven't done it, please go review it. We read those on the air, and it's been a while, so go to the Apple Podcasts app and do your review there. We get those sent to us so we can do those easily. If you don't do it in Apple Podcasts, then please send us a screenshot, dissectingthe80s@gmail.com. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts, I think is the term you're supposed to use now. They don't use subscribe anymore. They think they use follow. I believe is the term you should do. But subscribe to the show wherever you get it. That always helps us. And check us out on Facebook and at dissectthe80s on Twitter. And we have a full-length episode on Stripes up on patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. That's the end of listener request month. That just went up last week. So go check that out too. Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, we were just talking about in this. So a little bit of overlap there.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for listening to the show. I have been Tripp Lano.
I will always be Andrew Lano.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.